We'll begin in a few minutes. I was smiling back at you, Tina. You couldn't see it. Nobody wants to come sit up front? Well, we'll get started. I'm going to take my mask off so you can actually hear and it's not too muffled. If you are missing anything, we are recording too, so you can go back and watch it for anything. But I wanted to start with a Bible verse. Comes from Matthew chapter 11, verse 28. It says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I'll give you rest." I think it's a very good Bible verse to be meditating on this year. And actually, our theme for this upcoming year is Frog, Fully Rely on God, which is also very time-orientated and very good time to have that theme to come up again so that we can fully rest on God and rely on God. I want to thank you guys for coming, taking time out of your day. It's hot outside, so we'll try to keep this quick and short and then answer. Hopefully, by the time I get to the question parts, 99% of your questions will be answered. There might be a 0.5 of your questions that I won't have an answer at this point in time because we're still waiting on clarifications from the governor and from MDE and from Wayne County Health Department. So we'll kind of go through some of that there. But at the end, if you still do have any question about the plan, please come. You can come up to say your question. That way, in case anybody else has the same question, they can hear it too. Just wear your mask while you come up to ask your question. One of the books I have on my desk, I actually had it for a couple years, and I haven't got to read it yet. It's called "It's Complicated." It's about life of social or network teens. So it's all about your teenagers being online and stuff. But it was been sitting on my desk, and it's really, that's what this year is going to be. It's complicated. Throughout this plan that we're trying to talk about, there are going to be parts that's complicated. And I'm going to try to do my best to articulate everything that the governor has told us that we have to do. Even if we agree or don't agree, there are things that we have to do. And we went over your surveys that if you filled out a survey, we went over it with the teachers and talked about everything. And we kind of talked, the teachers and I talked about this plan, and we're hoping that the plan that we're going to give you guys, besides the mandates that we have to do, is the best plan possible to help answer every single question and concern you guys had on the surveys. So first off, mandates. The governor has stated mandates. I don't know how many of you have read the Michigan Safe School document, which is like 60-something pages long. And this kind of goes through all the mandates that the governor has put in place. Sadly, for good or bad, that includes non-public school, private schools. Any mandate that she has put forward for schools, we must follow as well. There's only one little stipulation comes into play is with chapel. And then the other stipulation comes into what we'll talk about, phases 1 through 3, which would be a little bit different. So I may not agree with all the mandates. You may not agree with all the mandates. It's what we have. I'm going to the Lord with my complaints, and hopefully he rests assured that we're going to be blessed even through all of this. So the first thing is, yes, we have to do the mandates on that. We have Michigan Association of Non-Public Schools. We pay to be part of that association. And what they do is they fight for us in Congress and at the state level and potentially at the federal level as it needs to be. They also help us to make sure that we can get certain grants at times. Accreditation, they will help with that. Any legal issues that we may have as a school, they're a resource, and again, mostly what they do well is try to fight for us. They're the ones that are fighting for reimbursement money from the state for the last 4 years, which Michigan State Supreme Court should be hearing soon. They are the ones that are fighting now for the CARES Act money that Betsy DeVos said that we could use, but unfortunately our governor added us to a lawsuit which will take away some money from us. They're also the ones fighting for potentially voucher systems in the future too. So that's who Michigan Association of Non-Public Schools, or MANS. And then we also have the Michigan District. Travis Gruke is our superintendent of the Lutheran schools in Michigan. And again, he's just a resource person that fights for us as potentially Lutheran schools, where MANS is all non-public schools. Travis fights for us as Lutheran schools. And Travis is on the board for Michigan Association of Non-Public Schools, so he can have a fight for us on that level too. So those are just names that you may have seen I throw out there on Facebook or in emails, just so you know who the people are. All right, so one of the questions came up that because of mandates that we have to do throughout the school, and it came up a couple times on the survey, does that mean tuition is going to raise? Does that mean registration is going to raise? No, we're not raising tuition at all. Even if we don't get any of this money from the CARES Act, we're not raising registration from what we set it as last year. It's going to stay the same, even though we are already buying stuff. Denise and Tammy are stocking up on hand sanitizers and other cleaning products. Travis Gruke just gave us a contact with Crucial Global Distribution with a bunch of cleaning products that they're putting together a special pricing for all Lutheran schools, which includes potentially a fogging machine that we can go in and help clean things and so forth. So this is brand new just today that we're getting. So again, information is changing daily for us, and we're continuing to learn new things, ask for clarifications on certain things. So don't worry that we're not going to raise tuition no matter what. We're not going to raise your registration fee. I know that was a concern for some. So here's our governor, and she created these 6 phases. She has two things, economic level phases, but also the school phases, and they kind of go together. So if the Wayne Westland, Detroit, Wayne County area is in phase 3, all schools in that region are in phase 3. If they're in phase 4 for overall, the public, all schools are in phase 4. So what can happen is Wayne County could be in phase 2, and like Traverse City could be in phase 6. She broke it out and did by regions depending on where the coronavirus is attacking or not attacking. So when I'm talking about these phases, these are what I'm talking about phases-wise. It deals with whatever the governor says our region is in. So easiest thing to first talk about is the first 3 phases. Because the first 3 phases means nobody's allowed in school. It's all online learning, mandated. Now, I am working with Jamie, our preschool director, because preschool, you are under a different mandates. Preschool and aftercare, before and after care follows under LARA, L-A-R-A, mandates. So they have a couple of things that are different. So what I'm working with Jamie, and we have to get it approved by MDE, is if we are in phases 1, 2, or 3, we'll be able to offer, hopefully, about 20 to 25 students that need to be, because you guys are working, you'll be enrolled into our daycare latchkey program, and be able to bring your kid here during that time period through the day. So we're working we have to again get it approved by MDE, and Jamie has to get it approved by her people, but that's the goal, is if we're in phases 1, 2, or 3, we'll be able to take the preschool kids, you'll be able to do some stuff, and then K through 8, about 20 to 25 kids, because we still have to follow all the LARA mandates. So that way, if you're a working parent and you just can't not work, we're hoping that this will be an opportunity for you guys to have something and not be stuck or have to quit your job because you have to stay home. And again, public schools follow these same phases too, so private, non-public, and public. So if we're in phase 3, Wayne Westland will be in phase 3 too. And I know at 6 o'clock they had a meeting today. I didn't get to watch it. Hopefully they taped it so I can go back to see what Wayne Westland is going to do on some of these things. Also, on top of that, because it is different, if we are in phase 1, 2, and 3, we'll give you guys $1,000 back off your tuition because it's different. And I know it's a sacrifice already, but we talked that, and I know it's not a lot, but hopefully it will help, again, some people that needs that little help, that you give $1,000 back if we're in phase 1, 2, and 3. So we're hoping that will help anybody on that end. What will online learning look like? It'll be a little bit different than how we did in the spring. In the spring, we did only pretty much three lessons a day, and the teachers kind of organized their lesson plans based on that. With this, in phases 1 through 3, you will have religion, math, and language arts every day. So those are our core classes here at St. Matthew. And then also, you will have like science, history, share time, or other classes 2 to 3 times a week. I don't have specific, like Monday, this is what Monday's going to look like. I'm going to let the teachers work that out a little bit, but you'll have your core classes every day. So what does that mean? That means for your student that three classes were a little bit longer. You might want to work with them to make sure time management, work on using any other resources, because you're going to add 2 to 3 times a week, you're adding another class on there. So they're going to probably have about 4 classes to 5. So it's still not like in school where they're getting 7 to 8 classes all day long. And part of the share time in the spring, it was kind of like whatever, because the public school didn't really have their act together. We will have to, if we're going to offer share time partnership, they're going to not necessarily mandate, but they're going to be requiring the kids work on art projects, work on Spanish for the 7th and 8th graders throughout the day or throughout the week. And again, we don't have any of the details with share time on that. They're still working together. What does that mean for them? All right, so that's phases 1 through 3. I'm going to jump to phase 6 because phase 6 is super easy. We're back to normal. That's what we need to be praying for, is phase 6. The only time it's not normal is if child or a staff member does test positive for COVID. Then we fall automatically back down to like phase 4. So we want phase 6 because that makes sure that we can do things almost normally as much as possible. The big change, the big phase, is phase 4. This is where governor's mandates are really in there and really that we have to follow. So the teachers and I talked, and we went back we had about a 5-hour discussion about this and what is best, how to serve you as parents. So if we are in phase 4, we're going to give you the option, online or in person. So for the families that still aren't comfortable for being in person, you have an option. For the families that are working and can't stay at home, you have an option. For those who, like my child, just needs to be back in school for a little bit of normalcy, we have an option. So this way it gives you guys the option to pick either phase 4 or in phase 4, either in person or online. There is no tuition break, though, if you do pick online for phase 4. That's just for phase 1 through 3. The teachers will be actually working double time, making sure that all online students get what they need, plus in person. It's a sacrifice for the teachers, but they're willing, and we're willing to do that to help as much and as many parents out as we can. Because we're in the same boat. I'm in the same boat with my kids. What do you do? I have one at Lutheran Westland and one here. My wife works full-time too. It's a struggle. I understand completely. So phase 4, this is where all the meat is on the plan. So if you do decide to be online, it's going to be a lot like what phase 1 through 3 looked like. It would be those core classes and then 1 or 2 of those other classes throughout the week. If you're in person, you're going to be normal school hours, but it's going to be, procedures are going to be a little bit different. I know this is hard to see, so I'll read it out to you. So the first things first, if you decide to be in person, this at home, this is what we want you guys, or we're going to ask you guys as parents to do at home each morning. You're going to go through a checklist, and this checklist has changed within the last 2 days. So I won't pass it out until they give me a final checklist. But you're looking at a fever. If your child has a fever, temperature greater than 100.4, new or worsening cough, shortness of breath, difficulty breathing, running nose or congestion, body aches or tiredness, vomiting or diarrhea, new loss of smell or taste. So if your child has any of those, and the clarification we want to get is if I have just a cough, because right now the rule is, according to this flyer, if you just have a cough, your child has to stay home. Well, just a cough doesn't mean you have COVID. My allergies are making me cough left and right or sneezing. So we want a clarification. It's not just one thing, it's like a combination. So that's what we're waiting back for a clarification on is to answer that. But if they have more likely multiple of those, then you need to keep your child home. So we're asking you to take their temperature each morning to check on that. Then also, the other 2 questions, have your child had close contact with anyone who had positive COVID-19 diagnostic tests in the past 14 days, or have you or your child traveled out of the United States in the last 14 days that you need to stay home? Okay. All right, so cleaning, hygiene, PPE. All staff will wear coverings when in classrooms. So all of our teachers, K through 8, will be wearing these. Exceptions are during meals or health reasons. And the teachers and I already talked about that. All staff and all students will wear facial coverings when in hallways or in common areas. So if we're walking to chapel, every student will be wearing facial covering. If they're walking to outside, they'll have facial covering. Exceptions during meals and health reasons. And what we're going to ask is that health reason needs to come with a doctor's note. Just saying health reason, can't wear a mask, facial shield, or facial masking, covering. Preschool, again, preschool families, you'll follow all the Laura mandates, and I know Jamie has sent some stuff out. She'll be sending more stuff out to you guys as she learns more about what's going on for Laura's side. Students K through 4 will not be required to wear facial coverings in the classroom unless combined or come into close contact with students in another classroom. So say our second graders are going to go practice something with the third and fourth graders, then all of them will have to wear a face covering. But when they're just in their class, just the teacher will have to wear it. 5th through 8th grade, all students in 5th through 8th grade will wear facial coverings all day, exception meals, health reasons with a doctor's note, and what I'm trying to get approved, it's not approved yet, but I'm calling it wellness breaks. So the teacher can say for the next 2 minutes, just sit at your desk, lower your mask so you can breathe, and then they'll have to put it back on. But that's not approved yet, so I have to get that approved from the MDE still in the Wayne County Health Department. Facial coverings may be homemade, so they're your regular cloth ones. They can be these cloth ones, but you have to wash them daily. So if they wear it, it has to be washed. Or you can wear one of these ones from the medical kind of grade ones, the easy ones. But these are called disposable, so they have to be thrown out every day. So I know I got about 50 of these, I think for like $14 off of Amazon. So they're not too expensive, but at the same time, it can start adding up. We are going to ask you guys to purchase the masks or make the masks if you're crafty like that. We had a friend that made this one for me to have. Or you can go on stmatthew.info/safety and order masks, facial masks, or the neck gaiters that are $10, and there'll be Raiders, St. Matthew Raiders on there. We are also asking you, if you decide to bring them in, to bring extra, just in case they sneeze in it, they spill something on it, or they put it down and then they can't remember which one is theirs. So an extra one. We're going to try to have some extra also last-second emergency ones in the office too. Teachers will teach children how to use the masks and will remind them throughout the day on proper use. I think the best thing I saw on Facebook was a meme about having your kids practice now. Even though they may not need to or they may not like it, especially 5th through 8th grade, all day long, it's going to get hot, and especially in the fall. So practice wearing them. Sadly, the health department came out and said face shields are not allowed, which I'm kind of upset about, because when they first came out, they were allowed. I bought all the teachers' face shields to help them be able to teach, and now they're not allowed. But we're looking for the teachers. We're trying to get some masks that have the clear covering, so especially for the younger kids, reading lips and seeing the mouth move to learn language is so important. So we're hoping to get some of those. All right, hygiene. Constant use of soap and hand sanitizer with proper hand washing techniques. Coughing and sneezing into their elbows and washing hands. Soap and hand sanitizer checks. I see Brandon back there. We already had a meeting about all the extra work him and Rose are going to have to do to make sure everything is there, and the hand sanitizer in rooms. We're getting more stands. You probably saw the one stand that we had there. We're working on getting more of those for the classrooms and throughout the building, and even if we need more soap dispensers, again, we're going to try to do everything we can. No sharing personal items. That's kind of common sense. Can't share anything, personal items. In the classroom, students are going to be spread out as much as possible. Now, for 7th and 8th grade, it's not going to be 6 feet. We're going to try to get as far as possible as we can. The good thing is our 5th through 8th grade class is probably one of the smallest classes we've had in a few years. So that's a benefit. We can spread them out a little bit more, but it probably will be like maybe 4 feet as best as we can. Teachers will be doing what they can for that. We'll have signage throughout the buildings and the bathrooms about proper hand usage, washing hands, proper use of hand sanitizers. Remember to cough into their elbows. Next one is one that I hate because I love you guys in the building as much as possible, but we're not going to be able to have as many as you in at all. We're going to have to limit volunteers as much as possible throughout the day to go there. Excuse me, I need a cough. And that includes like our church groups too. We're limiting what church activities are here throughout the day when kids are in the building. In-school screening. So you have that at-home screening that you're doing. Then our teachers are also going to be screening them throughout the day if they think they're kind of what they already do. You don't look really well. Let's take your temperature. Are you feeling okay? Do you need to go to the bathroom or go get you a drink of water or whatnot? So the teachers will be doing as much as possible that screening. If we have a student that they feel that's possibly meeting those same kind of standards, they have a fever, they're coughing, running nose, we're going to have a quarantine area. I don't know where that is yet. I'm trying to figure that out. And it's going to be probably a little room or section of a place where the child will be quarantined with a face mask until you as a parent can come pick them up. The biggest thing is going to be we're going to need you to pick them up as soon as possible. We can't have them just sitting in the sick room. We can't use the sick room because kids are moving in and out, so that won't be the quarantine area. But if we call you and say your child has a fever or is coughing uncontrollably or has a running nose and there's potential, we need you guys to come or have somebody come as soon as possible just to limit any exposure to our kids. And then also what happens with Wayne County Public Health Department, again, I'm waiting on more regulations and mandates from them, but right now, if your child has multiple symptoms like that, you'll have to get them tested, or they have to wait 14 days with no symptoms before they can come back. Now, for families that have siblings, that means your sibling has to be out also for 14 days. So that's another issue that the teachers will have to work with. Cleaning part, frequently touched surfaces, so the door handles, the pencil sharpener, those are going to be cleaned throughout the day numerous times. The classrooms will be cleaned a couple of times every so many hours. We'll go in there and clean it as much as possible. The floors, the desk will be wiped down. We're working, again, with that company that Travis sent out. They're putting out all COVID-19 friendly killers. So we're looking at them to get some great products that they have that will be meant to kill COVID-19 stuff. And then, again, desks also. So we're going to clean, and if we get this fogging, there's a fogging machine that we're looking at too that will also help us keep things clean and mop the floors as much as possible. Hot lunch. We're working on a plan. We don't have a complete plan. Possibly the hot lunch will be in the classroom, like they'll get their hot lunch and they'll eat in their classroom. Possibly they could go outside and eat if it's nice, or fellowship hall. There's certain mandates. If we do use the fellowship hall, we have to stagger some of it potentially, or maybe like the K1, 2 are in there, and then we clean it as long as we can spread them out far enough, clean it completely, then the next group can go in there. So we're still working on the hot lunch plan. So I don't have many other answers for that. And no, I do not know who's doing it yet either. So that's another thing we're working on. Athletics. Julie is our athletic director. They have a meeting coming up here probably soon. But it's pretty much going to follow whatever Michigan High School Athletic Association dictates and the National Federal Association of Sports. As of right now, there's no inside practice allowed. I know Lutheran Westland, they're having conditioning outside so they can spread out. We don't know if soccer will be allowed because that may be too close of a contact. But right now, Michigan High School Athletic Association is saying fall sports are still in the fall. Their sports are winter and spring sports. So we don't have a real answer for that either yet. And kind of going with PE. PE will have to be outside for if we're in person, spread out. It'll probably be a lot of running and stretching because can't really share equipment unless we have enough of them for each kid and that we can clean after each time. So I'm not looking forward to having kids outside every day, but at least then they can take their masks off potentially. Chapel. We are allowed to have chapel as a school. What does that look like? Probably be somewhat like this. Kids will wear masks till they come to sit down. We'll probably be spread out. We probably won't have chapel families like we have in the past, so that way that they could be spread out, relax a little bit. We'll have a message and go forward after that. My goal is also, now that we have kind of a system in the back, is to live stream all of our chapels as well. So for those at home, if they're doing online learning, or you as parents are working, you'll be able to partake in chapel services as well. My biggest concern for our students and for my teachers is the mental health. This is a lot. It's a lot for the kids. It's a lot for the parents. I'm very concerned about your children's mental health going through this. Either if we're all online, if we're split online, in person, or even if we're in phase 6, the aftermath of everything. I don't think the mental health has been talked about enough in the media or on the state level. I know as teachers we are really concerned about this. And we want to make sure that your children feel safe here, because this is where they're supposed to feel safe. We want them not to be scared. We want to be able to provide any resources we can to you guys. Side note, we have a new vicar with us for the next year, Vicar Bryce. He's a second career going into the ministry. So what a vicar is they have a year's worth of training, kind of like a student teacher is for school education-wise, and then they can become ordained after that. Well, since he's a second career, he's a little bit older than most vicar age, 22 to 25-year-olds. I won't say his age, but he has experience. He's also, his previous life was all in the health care. He was a physical therapist. He worked in management. He has a doctor in physical therapy. So he's already been a blessing to me. Today we were driving around looking at where all the other Lutheran churches are in the area and so forth. So he's going to bring a lot of resources that he already has from the medical field. His wife works in the medical field also in the technology department. So we're going to be blessed by having Vicar with us. For confirmation kids from last year, you hopefully saw the email and video with Vicar Bryce that we're trying to wrap up confirmation so we can get your kids confirmed. So I know Vicar is going to be helping me if your child needs a little, or if you as a parent needs a little counseling or just need somebody to talk to. Our doors are open for those purposes. Now the only thing that I didn't talk about is a little bit some of the procedures. So preschool, Kindergarten, second grade, and third and fourth grade. You're all in this hallway, in the new hallway. Your procedure to enter the building, or your kids' procedure, will be to use their fire exit doors to come in. That way, one, because we can't have all the parents in it, that way, I know for preschool and kindergarten parents, you can still walk your kid to at least the classroom, and you can pick your child up from the classroom. And the teachers will be right there greeting you. First grade, 5th through 8th grade will come through the normal door, the long hallway door, not the drop-off door. You'll come through the long hallway door in the back, where the buzzer is. And that way we can space you out as we need to, if we need to move you along to get to your classroom. If you have one of each, drop off your child at the door to come into the long hallway, and then you can walk your younger child out there. And then second grade or first grade parents, then you would pick up your kid from the fire exit door because you'll be with Mrs. Hink in the afternoon. So that's, as of right now, that's how we're going to, if we're in phase 4 or phase 5, to separate and keep kids away as much as possible so that they don't need to be able interacting. And if you're in latchkey, you would also use the latchkey fire exit door. So I know Robin's not here this morning, is she? Okay. But you'll go through the fire exit doors. Phase 5, life is different, but life is not on hold. It'll be everything, it'll be only in person only, and it'll be everything except for the mandates of the mask. If your child still wants to wear a mask, they can, but it's not a requirement on phase 5. So, but if you feel like, you know what, I want my child to still wear a mask, they can. All right. I think I went through everything. I probably forgot one or two things. If you have a question, you can please come up and ask. If you don't have a question, you're free to go. Just wear your mask as you leave. And I'm hoping to see you all in about a month when we have our actual back-to-school meeting and we're in phase 6. That's the prayer. No, come up to the microphone so that way people can hear. I can't hear you. How long do the phases? I'm trying to record too, Estera. How long are the phases last? Oh, that's up to the governor. She decides. So we could start in August. We could be in phase 5. September 10th comes and she says, you know what? You're in phase 3. We can't control that, unfortunately. So that's, before this meeting, I had a phone call with another principal. We were talking about probably for an hour and a half about some of these mandates, and she's at a lot bigger school. She has 250 kids, and she was asking how are we going to do, how we're doing online and in person in phase 4, because they're looking at can they do that with 250 kids, and how do you keep 250 kids away from each other? None of us have real answers, complete answers, and I hate that. I hate not knowing. This is the first time that I'm like in limbo of a school year after 10 years of being a principal and almost 20 years of being in education, that I don't know what I'm doing. It's like first year teacher again. Like, what are we doing? But I do have to say, Steve has been volunteering here throughout the summer, and he has been painting walls in classrooms for Mrs. Smith's classroom and Mrs. Farr's classroom. And Brandon's been waxing floors, getting it all clean. So we are preparing for you guys to be here in phase 6. So when August 31st comes, my hope and goal and prayer is that COVID is under control, we're in phase 6, and we can be a school family again. So if anybody else have any questions, I can repeat it if you don't want to come up. We'll have to figure that out once the colder weather comes. It'll be. Let's see. Seth is in 4. You'll be still 1 day a week unless teacher Gail brings them in there. Like 5th through 8th, they're 1 day a week with the share time teacher, and then Julie and Abby takes them in one more day. But that could be all changed now with everything going on. Yeah, we don't know. And then if it's middle of winter or if it's raining out, obviously we're not going to go outside in the thunderstorm to have PE. Assume that as long as the weather is nice, they're going to be outside. So if your child gets cold easily, they may want another thing. And another thing that we don't know, we haven't talked about a lot as a teachers, and I know some of the principals, we've been starting to talk about this, is kids changing, for our older kids changing for PE. Are we going to let them change or do they not change? We haven't sat down anything yet. It will follow closely, but as for Abby, as they're going to be probably a little bit closer to little kids, it might be a little bit different because it's how little kids is. There are going to be so much you can do online where you could do a little bit more in person. If she wants to come, well, she may be, if she did a hybrid, she may be behind 1 day because online you're going to have a couple more days to finish homework, where in person it'll be your normal. There will be some, but it might not be as much as like Abby and Julie did this past spring. They can't spend 4 hours during the middle of the day if we're in phase 4, but they may have like an evening time for that. And some of those questions, once we Yeah, it won't be real. No, it won't be real time. Because with that, there are some FERPA laws that we have to be careful of if we're broadcasting live in classroom and that. And that was another conversation that principals and I had for like 3 hours one day, is all the different FERPA and HIPAA laws that we have to make sure that we're following on that. So that's another thing. Like if you're a kid in your class gets sick, you'll get a note saying somebody in your child's classroom was tested positive. But by law, we can't tell, even though you can only figure out, I'm sure you're only figure out who it is, but we can't by law tell you who that child is. Sorry, Steve, I don't have my mask on right. Yeah, well, and the same thing would be is if they're in class, even if we're in phase 5, if they're in class and then they get sick or you get sick, or it possibly could be COVID, your child has to stay home for 14 days. No, but it's going to be a kind of fly by your seat of your pants on some of this as we figure it out. We don't know how it's all going to look until we do it, which also I know a lot of teachers and I hate because we like to have control over things. And with this, we have no control. We're going to just do our best as possible. The one biggest thing I noticed that you guys said is that was a positive from the spring was the communication between teachers and you. And we talked about how can we be even more communicative and making sure that you as parents know what's going on and making sure that if we do have students online and in class, not to just think, okay, we told the people in class, we have to make sure the people online know. Jen, if you have any specific questions, though, I'm sure Julie and Abby will for sure help help out. Because I know they've been talking about how they're going to be able to run it smoothly. And I don't want to dictate every little thing the teacher, because each teacher teaches differently. They are a little bit more comfortable. They do a great job with technology. We're teaching. Our kindergarten teacher being brand new, we're going to be spending time making sure she's comfortable with doing everything. I know she knows technology because she's an awesome teacher already, student teacher, and she's super excited to be here. She's already brought stuff into her classroom. She loves what Steve has been painting on her room already. She's actually coming in tomorrow to start setting things up. So again, it's the unknown. That's what's is scary for most part, and it's what's frustrating is we don't know some of these things. We're going to try our best to do keep you communicated with you. And again, next week, all of this could be out the window and something else comes up. And if that does, I will communicate that to you. But by August 15th, I have to have a plan for the MDE, and I wanted to make sure that I got that survey to you guys to get your feedback on last year and some of the questions for this year. Talk with the teachers. Again, we had about a 5-hour meeting last week talking about it, then having this. And please, if you don't want to say anything right now, but you want to email me later what your thoughts are, let it sink in, and you have a question that didn't come up and you're like at home, I'm like, oh, I wish I asked that, email me, please. And I will try to get back to you. And all your prayers that you've been asking, I've been praying every day on every single prayer that you guys have asked me to pray for you guys. Yeah. Oh, you did? Oh, thank you. We can do that. Yeah, there might be a little transition period. Again, because in person you're getting a better education in person. Especially from 99% of the kids. They like that in person or need that in person. Like for my master's, I loved online because I got to work at 11 to 2 a.m. in the morning. Nobody's bothering me. I loved it. But as a teacher, I wouldn't want to have my children to do that all the time. And like my kid, Aiden, he's a go-getter. He's a hard worker. By the end of the year, I was like, who is this kid? I really need to get on top of him because he was slipping. He was tired of it. My older one was completely tired as a high school student. He missed his friends, and I know your kids that's probably the biggest thing. They missed their friends and not be able to be here and have fun times. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. We would want them to do online or catch up or be at least in communication with the teacher so that we can send stuff. 14 days worth of school, that's a lot. 2 weeks worth, you're talking about 2 units possibly in reading, especially for lower kids. That's a lot of language that they're missing in interaction. So if you're out sick, and that's why for phase 4 we talked about, we're going to have to do some of this, even in phase 5, we're going to have to do some of this online learning stuff anyways. And it's just how do we do it and making sure that kids that are, obviously if they're tested positive for COVID, they probably won't be able to do the work. But if they are, they had the fever and they had the running nose and you're waiting to get tested, yeah, then they can obviously work online. As of right now, what will happen is we'll try to find a sub as much as possible. We have a small pool of sub, or I will have to step in and teach for that. Hopefully the goal is it's just the teacher can still work from home and do some of the lesson plans, videotape the lesson plans, and then we can just supplement. So if a teacher is sick, there will be, no matter what, there will be an adult in the room at all times. How does that look? Again, will be different. Gail Smith and I talked since she has third and fourth grade, and she's new to she taught fourth grade before. If we're online, I'm going to do her third and fourth grade math to help her out, because that's one of my stronger points in teaching was math class, and I can still do third and fourth, I think. I'll have to brush up a little bit, but I think I can still do some of that. But so she can focus on everything else, and I can help her out. And again, like for our kindergarten teacher, I'm going to be helping her out as much as possible to make sure she's going. No, that's all right. No, that's... That's a very good question. Why do we not have teachers doing the temperature? And for the longest time, that's what we were planning on doing, is as every time every kid comes in, we would have to sit there. They didn't make it a mandate. Preschool, it's a mandate. Laura, for morning care and aftercare, that would be a mandate. But for K through 8, they didn't make it a mandate. For one, especially for bigger schools, how do you take a temperature of 1,000 kids at one time? And two, there are some FERPA laws issues in there. So if I'm sitting here and taking your temperature and it say it's 101, oh, you need to go to the office. Potentially, if another parent is standing there, I'm giving out information, health information of a student illegally. So it's one of those nuances that they have. So, but we will have no-touch thermometers in case if we do feel like if we think a kid is not feeling good. Mm-hmm. Well, the biggest thing is pray. That's the biggest thing is pray. The other thing would be is to contact your representatives and ask them to make sure that they include non-public schools in all the CARES Act. And Governor Whitmer also is setting aside budget money for PPE stuff for schools. As of right now, we're not included in that because we're a non-public school. So contacting on the state level, both representatives and Senate, and just contact the governor if you can get a hold of her, and just really push forward that our kids matter as much as any other kid. No, we can take if that's an art. We can take donations as long as they're the homemade or at least the level one. If you have hand sanitizers, we can definitely use a lot of hand sanitizer. The hand sanitizers that they have right now that we clean the church every Sunday, it doesn't smell the greatest. It smells like tequila, but it's like 80% proof. Please do. Yeah, if any companies or grants that you know of, please let me know. We can definitely look into it. So you're welcome.
I was just curious if the governor has a date set for when she's going to call the phase. If there's a date
No,
for when
as far as I know, no, there's no.
Okay.
Just listen to when she has.
It could be up until like literally the week before.
Yeah. Like the last time she had her announcement, we were still in phase 4, but she said that we're moving towards phase 3. So, yes. Oh, is there a? That's a very good question. I don't have the answer. The question for the people watching at home is, is why do we have to follow mandates if we don't get money? That is the $1 million question, Estera. I need you to call the governor up and ask her personally for me. But she didn't answer for me either. But I asked, just so you know, these mandates are good mandates. There are good mandates in there. It's frustrating for me as a principal to try to say I have to enforce these mandates, and when I don't get the money to help me enforce it. But our number one goal is to keep your kids safe. That is our number one goal, is to keep your kids safe. And if we need to dig in our book straps, we're going to do that. Did you?
Yeah, the judgment that the Detroit Public Schools just had against them about every kid needs to get COVID tested, does that make it a mandate, or does everybody really have to follow it, or does the governor actually have to? I guess it's more of a question for the lawyers.
Yeah, that I haven't heard that. So Detroit Public Schools, every.
Summer schools, they have to. A judge said they can't go back to summer school unless every single kid gets tested for COVID. If you don't get tested for COVID, you can't go to school.
Oh, wow. No, I haven't. That's the first I heard of that. I'll have to look that up. Oh, I've been in a financial audit for the last 4 days, 6 hours each day. Yeah, I will throw that question to Mans, and see that. Oh, and the one last thing, I know people are leaving. That's okay. The biggest question is if you do decide to go online, or if we're in phase 1 to 3, we are not 100% guaranteed that we'll be able to give out the Chromebooks that we gave out in the fall or in the spring. Those Chromebooks are not ours. It's Oxford School District that we work with that PASS program. And they gave us permission to do that. We are working on buying some Chromebooks, and hopefully part of the PPE money or the CARES Act money that we could get was going to go towards purchasing our own Chromebooks. So if you see deals out there, you may want to take it up on it. It has just a Chromebook. They're usually pretty cheap. You can $200 to $300 for a basic one. But let me know too, so if we can start stockpiling some Chromebooks of our own, I can let Abby take them and set them up for us. And I'm grateful for Abby to take on all those Chromebooks issues and stuff. She does a great job on that. Yes, Denise? Yep, that's the plan right now. Is 5th through 8th, the 5th and 6th graders will stay in their classroom. Abby and Julie and Kelly will come into their classroom as much as possible. Like, it's hard to do potentially art in the classroom. So if they have to go to the art room after each class, we have to completely clean that room in phases 4 and 5. Not necessarily. What we have to do is we have to contact the Wayne County Health Department, and they will tell us how to move forward with that. So potentially yes, but potentially no. Again, one of the mandates is that each school contacts their public health department every single week, which is crazy, especially for Wayne County, because there's like 4,000 schools in Wayne County. So Wayne County RESA has you probably know this from Lutheran Wesleyan, has stepped up and said they will be the middlemen, and they will have that conversation each week with Wayne County Public Health, and they'll let us know. So I've been getting emails from them each week, actually a couple this week, and they're working on some clarifications. There's supposed to be a virtual binder that we're supposed to be able to look at, and then if we have some of those questions, will be answered to that. So I'm blessed that we have Wayne RESA to be that, because who has time to be on the phone with the health department, which the health department didn't even know that they had to be doing this stuff. That was a shock to them when schools started calling them, and they're like, what? So prayers would be grateful. If you know anybody that wants to donate PPEs or cleaning supplies, we would gladly accept them. Um, question, Stephanie? We're working on that. I mean, my thought was this wasn't going to last this long. So, but we are working on doing the question was, will we do a greet and meet with Mrs. Farr? And we're working on that. So, and just so you know, we're calling her Mrs. Farr from the get-go. She's getting married actually in November. Her last name is really tough to say. Rosa Marinarewicz. Nadia, if you're listening, I'm sorry. So I said, let's just say Mrs. Farr, because we already have a Miss R to begin with, and we didn't want kindergartners to have to learn a really hard name and then figure out to change. So we're calling her Mrs. Farr from the get-go. So, and Vicar, you could call him Pastor Bryce, even though he's not technically ordained yet either. No, you're fine. No. No. Our plan is this is our plan, as of right now, this is our plan, unless mandates come out that says otherwise. But this is our plan to move forward. So. It is. Like governor or don't like governor, she has the power, and we have to respect her power and pray for her. Pray that she has the wisdom to let us have school and be able to, and pray that Corona gets over with, that anybody heal, and continue to keep Phil in your prayers as he's recovering from his second brain surgery. And then there's a Lutheran High Westland mom who's had brain surgery not too long ago too. So I don't remember her name. Tracy, thank you. Thank you, Denise. Yeah, sorry I don't have like every answer for you guys. I wish I did. Literally every day it's something new. So if you have any other questions, please stay, come up. I'll put my mask back on. Sorry, Steve. Yes. Oh, I don't. Are they? Is that what they're doing? Not at this time. Our thought, if we're in phase 4, the best thing is to whatever you're comfortable. Yeah, and maybe with public schools, since they have so many kids, it makes sense. Try to spread them out. I mean, luckily, I guess it's a good thing we only have 80 kids, because it's easier to spread out a little bit. Yeah, they don't. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, right now that's not what we're looking at. But that, I mean, again, that could all change depending on mandates or anything.
So say when it just like comes for a half day, are we allowed to do that and finish the rest of,
I mean, technically you could. Again, some of the problem would be online. You know, they're going to assign the assignments like 8 o'clock in the morning, and you'll have a couple days to work on it. So I mean, could you? Yes, you could technically do that. You'll have to fill it out, see if it would be best for them.
I just know, like, Tyler, like, I've tried taking him out, and he gets anxiety wearing it.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I've been trying to, like, take him, like, he don't even ever want to go anywhere in first place. He's like, I ain't
Well,
going anywhere.
I don't blame him on some of it.
And, so then, like, the one time we went to a
Try to enjoy your evening, my friend.
I didn't see your reply on that email from Vicar's Duties.
Not yet. I've been trying over the last year to shed some of yours.
That guy amazing.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. This place needs that.
He may not. August 31st. August 31st.
31st?
Yeah. That's the goal. Although I heard that the governor may make it mandatory that you can't start until after Labor Day. I heard today that the governor may make it mandatory that you have to start after Labor Day.
Okay.
Which I